I'm not usually a big fan of follow along YouTube ab workouts, so today we're doing a follow along 7-minute ab workout. But if you're someone who's done quite a few of these workouts before, you're in for a bit of a treat because today's workout's going to look a little bit different to those ones that you've probably already done. These are going to be a mix of dynamic ab exercises that effectively target the upper and lower abs using spinal flexion based movements, along with some isometrics for complete core bracing that's scalable. First off the ranks, we're keeping things simple with a basic crunch, but this isn't just any basic crunch. We're not spamming these out, forming high reps until we're going for a burn. We're looking to perform these with a difficulty that's going to get us close to failure within that 5 to 12 rep range, stimulate some good hypertrophy and muscle growth, and not just turn this into a fatiguing endurance-based exercise. If you want to get these right, execution and form is the primary goal. So if you're starting out, going easy with your arms out in front of you and focusing on a nice, clean flexion-based core contraction where you tuck your chin, roll your chest and shoulders forward, and lift your shoulder blades and upper back off the ground before controlling the descent, that's going to give you the easiest way of trying to make sure that you're getting the right muscles to work the right way through every rep. Bring your hands up over your head or extending them out further are two easy ways to start adding more load to make sure that every single rep counts and that you stay within that target rep range. For me, I'm going to do this by getting my hands over my head and adding a bit of extra weight. For me, that variation got me to about 12 reps before I started to feel my form drop off and I was no longer able to get as much of my back off the ground for a full contraction and squeeze at the top of the rep. And now we've pushed our abs through one set nice and close to failure with a nice stable spinal flexion based exercise. We're going to take a full 2 minutes rest. This is where this style of workout starts to look pretty different to some of the other ones that are follow along online, because we're not just going for a high rep burn. We're not just trying to focus on burning out our cardiovascular system and feeling like we've done a lot of work. We're treating the abs like we treat every other muscle group and trying to make it a hard set. Choose a variation that keeps it within that target rep range that's going to best build muscle without extra fatigue, and make sure that we're pushing close to failure where our muscles are going to get a high dose of mechanical tension, and make sure that we stimulate the hypertrophy that's going to develop our ab shape and deepen the cuts. When we get at least 2 to 3 minutes rest between each set, we make sure that our abs are performing well every single set and are able to actually push close to muscular failure without our nervous system or other forms of fatigue getting in the way, meaning that we need far less volume to get much more effective stimulus for ab growth. And now that we've done that with some basic crunches to target more of the upper abs, we're switching up the exercise straight away and going for some leg raises. My favorite way to do leg raises is hanging from a bar, but you can do these with parallel bars or with elbow support too if you prefer. You're always going to get hip flexors on these because it is a leg raise, but if you set this up right, you should be getting majority abs and making sure that they're the primary target of the exercise. To execute these properly and make sure that you're getting quality ab contraction, you want to start with a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt and spine flexion, meaning that you aim your groin towards the ceiling and flex your spine and abs before you even start to try and bring the legs up. Once you manage to initiate with that spine flexion and your abs are already switched on, then you can start to bring the legs or the knees up in front to increase the lever and make it harder on the abs for a nice smooth controlled contraction and rep. The further you extend your legs or the higher you get your knees or feet, the harder the exercise is going to be. So try and standardize your form, aim for a consistent standard rep every single time, and as that form starts to break down, that's when you've hit technical failure and you want to end the set. I could feel myself starting to have to pull more with the shoulders to try and make a clean touch to the bar, meaning my technique was gone and that was the end of my set. 1 set per exercise probably doesn't seem like a lot, especially if you're used to some of those burner ab sessions, but if you actually look at research on muscle growth, you'll find that you can actually experience muscle growth with as little as 1 hard set per week. And in those volume studies, they find that when you actually make the exercise stable and targeted to the muscle group that you're actually trying to aim for, you keep the rep range low so that it's easy and reliable for you to push close to muscular failure, and you hit that set when you're well rested and your performance is going to be high. Every set is of such high quality that it takes far less sets to get maximal muscle growth out of your weekly training. By sticking to these basics that target the abs well without too much else going on, making sure that we get adequate rest, and then pushing each set all the way to failure or close to it, we make sure that we get the most out of each set with minimal volume and minimum fatigue created. And for our last exercise and set, we're going back to basics again with a plank. Isometrics are effective for building muscle only if you can actually get the target muscle working hard in a position that it actually works best in. This makes getting your plank technique perfect super important, so get yourself up on your feet, make sure you're not driving through your hips, and just like the leg raise, don't let your back sag and abs disengage. Force yourself into some spinal flexion and posterior pelvic tilt so that you make sure your abs are firing from the very second you come up into that plank. If you're getting more than 10 to 15 seconds out of your hold like this, you're going to want to extend your elbows further, lengthening the plank and making the lever longer so that you can burn yourself out a bit quicker under heavier loads. Get that core technique dialed in, pick a variation that's hard enough for you, and push this set all the way to failure. And that's your whole workout done. You've hit 3 effective sets, pushing all the way to failure, making sure your performance high by having adequate rest times, and isolating the upper, lower, and the entire abs with both dynamic and static movement. This might not feel like a whole lot of volume and not feel even like you've worked that hard, but because each set was of such high quality, you only need to perform this 2 to 3 times a week, and you'll be getting highly effective ab stimulus without unnecessary muscle damage and fatigue that's going to burn you out, delay your recovery, and eat into some of your following workouts. You almost never feel as sore or fatigued after a workout like this compared to some of those super high volume, high rep, circuit style ab training sets. So if you wake up tomorrow and don't feel as sore as you might expect, don't take that as a sign that you didn't work hard enough. Take that as a sign that you've effectively performed those sets and managed your fatigue at the same time. Using these higher loads with advanced basics variations means that you're also going to be getting more strength benefit because you'll be teaching your brain and your nervous system how to coordinate super strong contractions, giving you more ab strength and stability, which not only protects your lower back, but also gives you the base that you need to move on to advanced core exercises like L-sits, V-sits, and dragon flags. And if you want to learn some of those, along with some effective oblique targeting, check out my 3-day-a-week carved core protocol program on my website.